Scouts Victoria respectfully acknowledges the traditional custodians of the country throughout Victoria where our activities take place today. We pay our respects to elders both past, present and emerging, and continue to recognise and embrace the important continuous history and connection to land and community of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders people.
Welcome to Scout Quest. I'm Mitch from Bunurong Venture Unit and I'm a Venture Scout. Today we are talking to some of our Adventurous Activity Teams. I would first like to introduce Lachlan, our State Commissioner for Adventurous Activities. Welcome to Scout Quest, Lachlan.
Thanks very much, Mitch. Just like to say thanks to everybody for coming along this evening. I'm sure you're all excited to hear about all the Adventurous Activities teams and what they're up to. One of the things I really like about Adventurous Activities is that there's a whole lot of diversity in what you can do. So if you're into bushwalking, then there's that. And if you've done a lot of bushwalking and you want to take that further, then you can get into cross-country skiing, and there's a whole lot of things in common there. If you're into abseiling, then you can do a lot of abseiling, or if you've done sort of enough of that, then you can move over to rock climbing. There's always another activity to go on to. So it really never, you never run out of adventurous activities. So thanks for coming. I hope you all learned something tonight. Thanks, Mitch.
Thanks for that, Lachlan. Our first team tonight is the Scout Radio team. I'd like to introduce Philip, who will let you know about what the Scout Radio team does.
Thanks, Mitch. My name's Philip Adams from Scout Radio and Electronics. First of all, better explain what Scout Radio and Electronics is all about. Essentially a team of specialist radio operators and electronic geeks. We provide radio and electronics training and activities for all ages of scouting, and that includes right through from cubs through to rovers and leaders. We get involved in providing communications for large and or remote events, and we've got quite a bit of expertise in providing communications in the bush, well beyond internet and mobile phone coverage. We provide a facility where people can hire a spot tracker, and we'll talk more about spot tracking in a minute or two. And we also do specialist radio training, leading to qualifications that are recognised both around Australia and internationally. And last but not least, where Scout Radio Electronics also provide the coordination of JOTA and JOTI within Victoria and the supporting services associated with that, including the badges. So we'll change and move on. Okay, so a little bit about our activities we support. Just a couple of snapshots here on the screen. You'll see some people building some electronic kits, which are typically scouts and venture age. Our team are quite good at helping people build those little kits, and we can arrange a kit building activity. This particular photograph you can see up in the top left is some scouts that were doing a patrol activity camp at Gilwell Park. And the Happy Scouts are next one over, of course, actually got their electronic kits working, and they were showing off what they could do with them. We can do some basic electrical theory and electronic theory with Scouts. But one of the things we really enjoy doing is getting Scouts involved in radio activities. And on the lower images there, on the far bottom left, right-hand side, we've got a group of Scouts doing Jamboree on the air. Jenny was our radio operator helping out on that particular time. And the Scouts all had headphones on listening to what was happening. Incidentally, that Jamboree there was up at Ballarat, and you might be wondering about the clothing they're wearing, but it was about 5 degrees outside. So understandably, it was a bit chilly. Now, the middle photo at the bottom is a really interesting situation. We invited a number of Scouts to come along and take part in an amateur radio contest. This young man, you can see, he's got the microphone in one hand and he's got the mouse in the other. After 10 minutes training, he was having a ball. Not only did he work over 50 amateur radio stations in the evening, he was doing all the calling, all the logging, and poor Peter, our radio operator, sitting there in the background, could have almost gone to sleep. The young fellow was having a great time, and the only thing that stopped him for the whole night was he wanted to keep going, but his father insisted that he go home, which was a little bit of a pity for him. I should mention he's only 12 years of age, so yes, you don't have to necessarily be very old to start playing with radio. Now, just a couple of things here, a bit more on training and activities. We provide amateur radio training in a formal sense for both amateur radio, and we also provide marine radio training. Now, the difference is one's a little bit more technical, and marine radio training, of course, is geared for our boaties, our boating and sailing teams. Marine radio training, we work with Australian Maritime College, and we use their handbooks, whereas the amateur radio training, we use handbooks provided by the Wireless Institute of Australia. We basically can train for an amateur radio people from about 12, 13 years of age upwards. Generally a good time to start, although they can start playing around with radio a bit earlier. But the marine radio training can't be done till you're 16 years of age, so typically halfway through Venturous. We also do activities with scouts where we combine a bit of old style pioneering scouting with radio activities and build flagpoles and then attach radio antennas and things to them. So there's lots of different activities we do. Joey's conductive Play-Doh and making dinosaurs with flashing eyes, and all sorts of things like that can be done. So we've got a big range of activities which we can bring together depending on the age group and the experience of the scouts. And I say scouts of all ages. Change. A little bit about Spot. Spot is an electronic device that drops into the palm of your hand. It's a satellite-based tracking system. We hire out Spot, and Spot can be used for scouts of all ages, but generally scouts, adventurer and rover ages. When they go in, good thing about Spot is it tracks where your location is and retransmits that. Combines GPS and satellite technologies. Just as you walk around, it every 10 minutes it puts a footprint on the map, and that map can be viewed by leaders and other interested people. And you can also push your buttons and say you're okay. And this map was a group of scouts that went hiking up near Powtown. They weren't an overly experienced group of scouts, so their leader thought it a good idea for them to take Spot along with them. And some of the time they remembered to push the button and say they're okay, but when they forgot, we still had footprints on the map, so we knew exactly where they were should anything go wrong. If they had needed help, they could push a couple of different buttons on the Spot, and it would have sent out a message indicating where they were and what assistance they needed. So it's quite a handy little device. It's very lightweight, and will run for up to a fortnight on a set of lithium batteries. So it's very power efficient little device. And if we need more of them, at the moment they cost us quite a bit to register, but if we need more of them, we can hire them commercially if we need more than just the one that we have immediately available. So that's Spot. That's what it's all about. Okay, moving on. Now, Jamboree of the Air, big activity for those that haven't been involved in Jamboree of the Air or Jamboree of the Internet. There's over 1 million scouts around the world taking part, about 10,000 in Australia alone. It's always held on the third full weekend in October. This year, because of COVID restrictions, it's going to be a bit difficult in some states, including Victoria, but we've got some plans in place. And both using amateur radio to talk to scouts in other places around Australia and when things go well around the world. And of course, Jotai is also using the internet. A number of different platforms support this, and we can even combine the amateur radio and the internet together with things like Echolink. So it means we get some good contacts even when the radio waves aren't great for us. So we'll just move. We'll move on one more, please. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty well where we are at the moment. But so we can do a lot of activities. You don't have to hold an amateur radio license to be involved in the Scout Radio and Electronics team, but we certainly help you to get one if you wish to. And same with the marine radio license certificate. We help you get involved with that if that's the direction you're heading. Okay, at this stage, I'll hand it back to Mitch, and I'll be back a little bit later with handle any questions at the end of the presentations. Thank you very much.
Thanks for that, Philip. We'll have all of our teams on at the end to answer some questions, so please place any questions you have in the chat window. Next, I'd like to introduce our rock timing team, who will be represented tonight by Patrick. Welcome to Scoutcast, Patrick.
All right, thanks, Mitch. Today, I'm here to talk about the Branch Rock Climbing Council. So my presentation will be a little bit different to everyone else's. I'm going to talk more about my climbing and abseiling journey through Scouts. So that was a picture of me abseiling as a 12-year-old over a 35-meter cliff, and that's me as well. There's me, aged 18, on my abseiling guide course. There's me with my climbing mentor, Paul, aged about 18, and this was one of the first times I went outdoor climbing. There's me on my lead rock climbing course. Now, this is a good opportunity to have a break because this is one of the activities the Branch Rock Climbing Council does. So lead rock climbing is where you start at the bottom with the rope beneath you. As you climb up, you place what's called gear in constrictions in the rock. So they can go in one way, but they won't come out. You then clip these to your rope. However, if you fall, you will fall double the length that you are above your last piece of gear. So it's somewhat adventurous. So for that reason, it's only offered to rovers and venturers, and we currently only offer it at Digirite. Now, when you do this, you do it in a pair. So there's the lead climber and there's the second. And when we take people climbing, rovers and venturers, this is what they do. So the BRCC member up the top will have climbed up, and the second will belay them, but then they will follow them, and they will pull out the bits of gear. Now, this is a really good learning way of learning how to place these gear, because it is quite a difficult skill. So the best way to learn lead climbing is to follow somebody a lot. Of course, the best way to learn how to place gear is to lead climb, but this is how you start. So we currently offer experiences in this for rovers and venturers. Okay, so here's another picture of me. And you can see, because I'm placing this gear here quite close together, I'm probably showing a new person how to do it. Here's me getting ready for a multi-pitch climb. This is where I, as the leader, would climb up to about here, and then the second would follow me, and then I would lead again to here, and the second would follow me again, all the way to the top. Here's me doing something slightly more difficult. It's not a very good photo, but I've included it because it really does show the next photo on the same climb. There's me, the lead climber, and here is Paul again, seconding, and he's going to go along and take these bits of gear out as he goes along. And there's me belaying. So this is how you lead belay. You've got to keep watch, and you've got to be ready to jump if you're heavier than them. So again, it's quite an adventurous activity. And lastly, here is a picture of me top rope climbing, just having fun with some friends. So where has climbing taken me? In 2016, I was the rock climbing supervisor at an American summer camp. It was a great summer. I was in charge of about 25 people, including this wall. So there's me on the right with a couple of my co-counselors, and it was a great experience. I would recommend it. On the same trip, I climbed a few mountains in Italy, in the Dolomites. So this is a picture I took. This is done using a thing called Via Ferrata. We don't have it in Victoria. It's based on a fixed steel cable. If you go up, it's fine, but if you fall, you will fall down to your last attachment. This is the route that I took up this climb. There's the first picture of the starting point, the bus stop. It's the hardest bit of the climb. So you have to climb up here, sort of around here, and up around here. And there's the view from the top. So really, I've been very lucky with what I've been able to do with my climbing. But if you want, I started doing this in Scouts and didn't really get into it until I was an adult. So there's always still time. So what does the BRCC do? This is Paul with 2 Scouts waiting for their third. Because we run weekends about 10 a year for Scout groups, Adventurers and Rovers. On these weekends, we run climbing on the Saturday and do training or climbing ourselves on the Sunday. Now in this, you'd have a group of about 20, maybe, Scouts come along and just climb, really. We have all the Scouts climb and all the Scouts belay if they want to. So this is us setting up or getting ready to set up. This is me at the top setting up. And this is what it looks like when we're done. And you can see there are 5 different climbs. You can just see the one at the end. So this is top rope climbing. And when we do this, each one of these people would be a Scout. And each group would have a BRCC team member with them. So as the one Scout climbs up, this Scout would belay them, and this Scout is a backup belayer. And using this system, we can have all the Scouts, no matter what, try to belay, hopefully succeed. But if they're not, again, there's 2 of them and a BRCC team member supervising them, so it's very safe. We currently offer this for Scouts, Venturers and Rovers. It's all on cliffs, so it's all natural, and we offer this at Diggerite, Camel's Hump, Mount Alexander and the Yangs. So here's one of our team members showing this. So he's belaying. This person in the orange helmet is being the backup one, I think, and this team member is showing them, is being the demonstrating climbing. And these are all the Scouts who will then go on to do it. So our team has a strong focus on youth leadership. I am no longer a youth member, but I, for years as a youth member, did run these activities. So this is me, aged about 24, I think, inspecting other people's work, because we really do value ability over age or anything else. This is me at a event, VG, offsite climbing, which I organised as a youth member. And while I organised the climbing side and the technical stuff, another team member of ours, who was at the time 17, did all of the liaising with VG and organising things from that end, because we as a team really do believe in it. And it was that leadership experience that I gained while running these activities that allowed me to go and be a rock climbing supervisor at a camp. One other thing, just because I'm running I'm not running, I'm helping run the next Jamboree's vertical site. This is a picture of the people from the last Jamboree who were on the vertical site. It's me in the middle. And I thought it was a great experience, so I would recommend it. This is me helping a very small Joey, to quote their parents, on the open day. And this picture is me being in charge of the whole site. Again, this was great leadership experience, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without my previous leadership experience. So yes. Now we are running these activities at home for scouting at home. We did a stop motion / scene creation competition for youth members. Those are all on our Facebook page if you want to have a look. There are some wonderful entries. Every week we're doing Spot the Difference using our climbing gear, again on our Facebook page, as well as word searches, and there are some instructional videos. And lastly, I just thought I'd finish by saying I traveled around the world because of the climbing and my experiences, but really the best part has been the friends that I have made. So, you know, I think it's a great thing to do. Finally, this is our email. We don't know when our bookings will open for next year, obviously, but we will advertise it beforehand. So if you want to book in for a weekend and maybe start one of your scouts on a journey like mine, just email us. And we will advertise the dates that we're going, and then you can book into any one of those 10, so long as they're not already booked. The other thing is if you're a rover or adventurer group, unit, and you want to come along, reach out, because with smaller groups and with older youth members, we can sort of tailor it a bit and maybe send less leaders or more leaders and fit it in that way. So reach out if you want to do it as a venture unit or a rover crew, or for venturers and rovers, if you want to join the team, we're always looking. So reach out and we will try very hard. So thanks for that. Back to you, Mitch.
Wow, now I really want to go rock climbing. Thanks for that, Patrick. Looking forward to seeing you on the next climbing day. Our next team tonight will be four-wheel driving with Macca. Welcome, Macca. Can you tell us about four-wheel driving team?
Thanks, Mitch. Hi, everyone. I'm here to talk about the Victorian Scout 4x4 Service Unit and how we can be of service to all areas of scouting in 2020 and beyond. We'll look at the youth program, our history, what it is that we're trying to achieve, how we can help the association members through our training and education program, and describe some of the four-wheel drive experiences we can deliver. My name is Peter McDonald, or Macca to most of my scouting acquaintances. I've had a number of roles in scouting since I rejoined as an adult 20 years ago. I've been a scout leader, a group leader, and an activity leader. I led the state abseiling team for a number of years, and I've been involved in four-wheel driving in various capacities since 2004, including a year or so in Canberra where I helped the ACT branch set up their own four-wheel drive team. I've been a qualified instructor or adult leader trainer in four-wheel driving since 2016. I also help run Gillaroo each year. In terms of the current youth program, like a number of other adventurous activities that you'll be presented this evening, four-wheel driving is classified as a special interest area. Youth members can develop four-wheel driving as a project as part of the Youth Award Scheme. Both youth and adult members can attend four-wheel drive courses and achieve both scouting and vet qualifications as long as they have a valid learner permit or driving licence. It should be noted, however, that only adult members and rovers with appropriate qualifications can be appointed as guides or instructors. Four-wheel driving was officially introduced into scouting in 1983 when a number of rovers in Victoria who had been involved in an incident that was primarily related to not knowing how to properly manage a four-wheel drive decided that they would learn how to do it properly and pass that knowledge on to other rovers, scout leaders and parents to try to avoid the dangers of the activity. In 1984, they ran their first four-wheel drive course. There have been courses every year since then, and now we run an average of 3 level 1 and 1 level 2 courses each year, 2020 being the exception, of course. The unit also support many section activities, including, but not limited to, mud bash, scout hike, Gillaroo, fit gathering, and anything goes. Some of the objectives include expanding the scouting experience, special interest areas as part of the OAS, improving the knowledge of four-wheel driving, building an understanding of how your vehicle works and how you can drive it, and basically increasing the safe operation of four-wheel driving. So our goals are to support the youth program, to support scouting activities requiring four-wheel drive capabilities, and educating and certifying scouting members in the safe use of four-wheel driving. This slide details the qualifications that are attainable from our Level 1 course. The items detailed here form part of what was known as the Certificate 4 in Outdoor Recreation, which has recently been superseded by the Certificate 4 in Outdoor Leadership. We're currently reviewing our Level 1 and Level 2 courses to align them with the new competencies, which are shown in that inset. The current Level 2 course covers these two competencies. The scouting four-wheel drive experience is about getting out and going bush. We travel on gazetted tracks through quite a deal of the Australian bush. Photos here just covering some of the different activities we've done at different times. We have overnight camps. We take trails. We take youth members and show them a little bit about what happens in the bush, what you can do with a four-wheel drive. One of our recent experiences was a Victorian Alpine area expedition over 4 days, where we travelled from Bright in northeastern Victoria through the historic gold town of Grant and Talbotville and into the Wonnangatta Valley, and then out the other side and into the area just south of Mount Buller called the Bluff area. And we visited a number of alpine huts. You see the inside of one of those. They are a couple of people who'd set themselves up for the weekend to have a bit of a camp. We just dropped in and said g'day. We assisted with the recovery of that red vehicle that's sitting there. He'd managed to get himself completely stuck. And so we don't just support each other, but we also support other people that we find on the track. As you can see, quite a large number of different terrains, including quite a deep river crossing. One of the other activities that we did in 2019 was we took a member from the ACT and myself went over to Western Australia, and we actually trained up a group of people over there so that they were able to start up their own four-wheel drive unit, the same as the one that we have in Victoria. Thank you for your time. Contact details are here for our state leader, Duncan White, and his email address. Over to you, Mitch.
Wow, thanks, Macca. Only 18 months till I get my pleas, and I'll definitely be joining the course to soon join the team. Next, we have Ian from our caving team. Welcome. Ian, hasn't it been a while since I saw you at Vertical School? I'm still not over the dessert being eaten by ants, but maybe you can tell us about caving team does. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mitch. I'm Ian, and I'm part of the Victorian Scout caving team. And what we'll be going over tonight is what we would typically do if you're coming away caving with us. We're talking about caves that are down in Western Victoria, called in the Budgebim National Park. And we'll just go through what we would do with you guys when you come along with us. So what we'd supply is helmets, the experienced caving guys, so a really good bunch of people that love caving in the Scout team. Obviously, we're all first aid qualified, and we've got our first aid kits, and we'll supply some specialised gear if we need it, so ropes and carabiners and descenders, all that sort of thing. The things that we don't supply when you come along is we don't supply transport for you guys. You supply your own food and your own camping gear. What you need to bring along when you're coming with us is the most important thing is you need 2 independent light sources. And there's a really good reason for that, because if you run out of light in the dark cave, it's pretty difficult. You need something that's robust. It's got to withstand knocks, damp and dust. Hands-free torches are really good because if you're crawling around, but if you haven't got one of those, then something like a dolphin torch with a lanyard on it, and you'll need a backup torch. Again, something that you can put on your pocket that's got a cord or something like that on it. You'll need spare batteries, especially if you're using your batteries for your torches around the camp at night. And unfortunately, cheap torches tend to be a little bit fragile, so we spend a lot of time fixing up torches. So even though that it might be a bit more expensive, if they're better quality, they'll last in the caving system a lot better. You'll need to bring along some protective clothing. So obviously the best thing is some old boiler suits. If you don't have them yourself, you can get them from op shops and places like that, or you might be able to borrow them from your parents. And if not, well, then you can use some long sleeve shirts or long pants, especially if you're going down to a place like Budge Bin, because it's a volcanic cave system and the rocks are quite sharp. You'll need good boot and ankle support. Gloves are quite a good option, and also knee pads. Again, the things that we don't want you to bring along, disposable like painting suits that you can buy at Bunnings are pretty useless in a cave. They just get shredded and we end up just picking up bits and pieces out of the caves the whole time. Don't bring along your good runners or low support runners, because again, it's very rocky and they'll get scuffed up. Sandals are no good. You'll need something to protect your toes. Shorts and t-shirts are fine, but you need to put something over the top because you will get scratched up if you don't. And we have had people come along in something like a snowsuit, and all they do is just get overheated. So it's quite warm in the caves. They're about the average temperature of the region, so you're looking at about 18 or 19 degrees, and it's quite humid, so you won't need something like this. When you arrive at the site in the national park, you'll be going to site 22. It's quite easy to find when you follow the signs, and you just follow it all the way around to the end. There's a big sign there, and you just set up. And obviously, if you're going with other troops, we just like you to leave some room for the others. There's some toilets nearby, which is just down into the track. And it is a national park, so there could be some general public in the area, so you just have to keep your noise down and things like that. From the cave campsite, you will be travelling to the caves with your leaders. It is along a bush track, as you can see there, so lowered cars aren't really that good. Just your general sedan is fine. Obviously, four-wheel drives or high clearance vehicles, no problems at all. What you'll need to bring along is a day pack, because you'll need to take your lunches out with you. You'll need water, you'll need a rain jacket, everything you need to go out for the day has to be brought along with you. And when we're finished caving, you'll need something to change into, or you can just pull your overalls down as long as you've got some shorts and t-shirts underneath, just to make sure that your leaders don't end up with muddy cars or dusty cars. What the caves are like. So down at Budge Bin, as I said, they're volcanic, so they were formed in a different way than the limestone caves that everybody knows about. These are just about formed instantly after a volcano erupted. Some of them are quite big. Some of them can be really, really small. They can be quite challenging. They're definitely rocky. There's lots of dust depending on the time of the year, or they could be quite damp. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter whether it rained the day before. The rain that comes through into the system can take weeks or months, so you can never tell from the what's happening in the weather outside as to what it's going to be like inside the cave. Some of the other things that we can do while you're away with us, we've done investitures in caves, we have scout zones, and we even have some special services. This one here we had on Remembrance Day, so we had a minute's silence down the end of a cave. Some of the things that you can learn on the trip away with us is we'll look at some of the knots that are used specifically for caving. We'll also look at navigating through caves, so we can supply you with some maps of the caves that you're going through and some compasses, and we'll be getting you to actually lead the way through the caves. And depending on which cave system we're going into, whether horizontal or vertical, you might also abseil into the cave. But at the moment, coming away with us is enough to earn a caving badge. But obviously, as we go into our new program, we will be running different stages of the OAS. And so we've already trialled that, and that's working quite well. So I think when it comes to next year and OAS is in full swing, there'll be no problems with being able to achieve some of the stages coming away with us caving in the vertical stream. And just a little bit on the volcanic caves. So obviously, once the volcano's erupted, we have a lava flow that runs through. That's just typical. It's something that I wouldn't do, but if you're standing on top of a crusted over lava flow, there's a lot of molten lava underneath. And when it all flows away, which is a bit of a typical example here, we've got that liquid lava, we've got some solidified lava here, and what drains away is what's in this yellow here, and you're left with caves like this. So it's like biting the end off a caramello koala and letting all the caramel ooze out. What's left is a typical cave. Okay, I think that just about finishes me. So thanks. Back to you, Mitch.
Thanks, Ian. I can definitely suggest to any scout to come out and investigate the caves with the caving team. Wow, so much already up. Up next is Luke to tell you about the cycling team. Welcome, Luke.
Thanks, Mitch. Hi, I'm Luke from the Scout Cycling Team. I run cycling. I'm really sort of getting excited about being able to, sooner rather than later, get out on bikes with the Scouts. What we run for a cycling team, for youth and leaders, we pretty much don't separate our courses out. We just take everyone out riding and getting them on bikes. So what we run, I suppose we're gearing up for OAS. On the mountain biking scene, we run 3 main activities. So we run Come Try Mountain Bikes, which, if you're familiar with OAS, they're sort of fitting into stages 3 and 4, really aimed at an introduction to mountain biking, getting you on your bikes in the bush on the single track safely. And that's about a 3 hour course, bit of a guided ride, a lot of fun. And then once you're sort of working your way up to building up some skills, building up some confidence and some stamina, we run an introduction to mountain bike course, which is aimed at our OAS stages 4 and 5 pretty tightly. Full day course, usually out at Listerfield or the Yuyangs, and we'll get you shredding some trails out there. And then once you've worked your way up to the next stage, we run an intermediate mountain biking course, which really fits in with OAS stages 6 and 7. Scouts, Venturers, Rovers, all have completed these in the past. And that's really building skills and getting you looking at riding blue and black runs out on the trails and being able to pretty much, we don't cover a lot of airtime, but pretty much cover everything out on the trails. And then once you're really confident with that sort of level of riding, and if you want to work your way up to the OAS stages 8 and 9, we basically will, help you achieve those. It's really starting to be able to lead and help on activities. And the other stream in cycling on OAS that we look after is trail riding and just general off-road riding, bike packing, camping with bikes, longer bike hikes. So for most of those activities, you can most sections and youth will be able to do them as a DIY type event. But the cycling team have got a lot of resources and guides in the team that'll be able to help you and your leaders. We've got a fleet of about 30 mountain bikes available to hire for our events and for your scouting events. So if you haven't got a bike, or you've only got a road bike and you want to try mountain bike and all that sort of thing, bikes are available for hire. And if you're going out trail riding as well, we've got a few little single wheel trailers that you can tow behind your bike that make it a little easier to, carry some patrol gear with you when you're out. And on top of that, probably to get you out on the bikes a little bit more, a couple of events next March. We're still working on our 2021 calendar at the moment, trying to fit as many events and activities in as we can. make up for all the ones we've missed this year. March next year, we're looking at doing Jamboree on pedals. I think the last weekend or second last weekend in March will be our Jamboree on pedals weekend. We've got a lot of sort of supporting outdoor activities stages, so get you well on your way. And then for Venturers in May, we're doing a bit of a suburban bike hike around Melbourne. And on top of that, we're running, a couple of mountain biking courses every month. We'll be running a couple of trail rides as well. Also over winter, we can't probably get on the bikes as much because we don't want to, we don't want to ruin the trails by riding them when they're too muddy. So we'll do a lot of mechanical skills courses. So that's what we do. Probably at the moment, I think a lot of people have been getting out on their bikes. If you've been in Metro Melbourne and you've previously been restricted to sort of 5Ks from home, or now we're moving into 25Ks for home, so you can get a little bit further. Take your bikes a little bit further on. So I'm just going to run through a couple of quick things that you guys can do. Some of them are actually skills that'll cover on your OHS, but basically if you're getting out on your bike, these are some things to help you get going. So I'm going to do a couple of things. First of all, I'll do so probably your bare minimum equipment you need to go out for a ride, which I've got a bike over my shoulder. I got a helmet, and I usually like to take some gloves out too, either long finger when it's cold and wet, fingerless if it's a bit warmer. So first up what we're going to do is helmet fit, because I go riding and I see all these people wearing their helmets wrong, and if they're not on right, then when you do hit the ground they don't necessarily do what they're meant to do and protect your noggin. So first of all, I've got a mountain biking helmet, sits a bit lower at the back. Road biking helmet's a little bit more aero. The one thing you do want to make sure when you've got a helmet is that inside it, somewhere in here, there'll be a little Australian Standard sticker. You've got to wear an Australian Standards helmet, cycling helmet, when you're riding a bike. The other one is fit. So when a helmet goes on your head, quick one, the chin strap should just be able to fit a couple of fingers under. Shouldn't be too loose, should still be able to talk, which I can. And also, you want to wear your helmet so it's just 1 or 2 fingers above your eyebrows. You don't want it too far forward so you can't see. What I see most of the time out on the trails is back like this, and that's not wearing a helmet properly. So that's helmets. And just a quick one is a quick bike check. So I've got my bike here. We teach, we call it ABC tight. Really quick one. Keep it tight. So what it is A is for the air in your tyres, and we'll just give them a bit of a squeeze and make sure they're not too flat. For mountain biking, they should feel a bit like a ripe orange. The sidewall of your tyres, it'll have the correct pressure range for them. There's usually a low number and a high number. Low numbers for mountain biking. Have your air pressure towards the higher number for riding on roads and bike paths. So A is for air, B is for brakes. Just about squeezing your brakes on, and then pushing forward and making sure your brakes work. C is for chain, and that's really just a quick check to make sure that everything works. There's not too many squeaks and rattles in your drive line. And the other one is a D, or tight, which is we do a little quick drop test. Just pick your bike up, drop it. If you hear any rattles or clunks or anything like that, you might want to just try and work out where they're coming from and work out and get someone to help you tighten up. It might be a seat post or something like that. So that's a quick one just to do. It's done pretty much before every ride to make sure that everything's safe and you're going to get your ride done, say get back from your ride. And probably the other thing you can do, which is a good lead up to any of our courses, and the first thing we do if anyone comes on our courses, was just practice some slow riding stuff. So when you're out on your bike, everyone can race along bike trails and all that sort of things, but actually really good skill to be able to ride slowly. So if you're out on your bike and there's a basketball court or something nearby that's nice and flat and there's no traffic around, see how long, or try and take as long as you can to get from one side to the other without going backwards. Just try riding along a straight line really slowly. Or on a basketball court, ride round in circles in the key and try not to ride out of the key, but go as slow as you can. A few little things like that. And that's just a really simple skill, but when we take you out mountain biking, it's really handy because you're riding with 10, 15 people in a row. And so sometimes when there's a little an obstacle, you need to be able to go slowly just before it, just to check everything out and get through there safely. So yeah, that's a few things you can do to get riding, and hopefully next year or even before then we'll be able to see some of our events, get you on a bike. Thank you.
Put in the message, do you?
Mm-hmm. Thanks for that, Luke. Definitely sounds like a lot more fun than my ISO bike riding within the 5Ks. Don't forget to post questions in the chat, and we'll be answering them after the next team. But at last is the abseil team. And Scott's here to tell you about abseiling. Welcome to Scout Quest, Scott.
Thanks for leaving the best to last, Mitch. The State Abseil team is ready to help you get into the outdoors in 2021. The team is currently finalising our calendar, which looks a little like this. Once finalised, you'll find it posted on the Scouts Victoria website under Activities, or on the team's Facebook page at facebook.com/state abseiling. The calendar covers a range of both abseiling activities and training, which we run at a number of different locations across the state. If you have any further questions, you can always get in contact with Gav on state.abseiling@scoutsvictoria.com.au. As we know, 2021 is the launch of outdoor adventure skills here in Victoria. So let us now hear from the youth a little more about this and abseiling.
Hi, I'm Georgia and I'm here to introduce you to abseiling and to start your journey of your vertical outdoor skills. The abseiling team has a calendar of events, but that's not the only way you can start your abseiling journey. For Scouts starting on their vertical stage 1 and 2, many of the I can statements can be completed at your home unit. Like, I can complete 2 of the knots that will help me with my vertical activities, like a tape knot and a figure of 8 knot. Another of the I can statements that you can do from your home is putting on a helmet. You can even use your bike helmet or a proper abseiling helmet. How to do it is you sit it firmly on your head, make sure it's over your forehead. Then when you clip it up, make sure the ears are firm to your ears. And then you clip it. Once you've clipped it, make sure it's 2 fingers from your chin. Some of the other I can do statements can be completed by going to your local climbing gym.
Hi, I'm Sophie. And I'm Chloe. If you're a scout like us working on stages 3 to 5, the abseiling calendar can help you achieve these goals. The abseiling calendar varies from different events, from rock faces to portable towers. Abseiling is also found at different events like Stradbroke Cup, Top Gear Scout, or even AJ 2022.
Although the set activities work on the I can statements, you get a lot more vertical opportunities at a set abseiling activity. Although it's very important to tell your instructor what you're working on so they can help you.
Hi, my name's Flynn. I'm guessing you're wondering about scouts like me who love abseiling and are progressing past stage 6. For Scouts working to progress above Stage 6, they may be interested in forming activity patrols. These patrols will allow more time to focus on specific skills which is needed to complete the higher level I can statements, which includes things such as selecting anchors, setting up abseils, self-rescuing, changing from descending to ascending, and acting as supervisor for an abseiling activity. As you can see, this includes some advanced techniques, so these patrols will also need to work with a suitably qualified guide, which the abseiling team can help with. We would also encourage these Scouts to become members of the abseiling team, like me, as this will also increase their opportunities to develop and practice the skills whilst helping the other Scouts on their journeys.
Hi, I'm Steph. I hope you found the information on how the abseiling team can assist youth members with achieving their vertical progressions helpful. Before I finish and hand back to Mitch, I just have one other topic I would like to cover, and that is that the abseil team has a great program to help leaders develop their abseiling skills from beginner all the way through to being an abseiling guide. For more information on how to get involved, head to the Scouts Victoria website or get in contact with the abseiling team.
Now, oh wait, what? Now I really need to work out what my OAS levels are up to. Now I'd like all the teams to join us for some questions. Can you, Diana Swift, can youth members attend activities on their own, or do they need to be a part of a patrol from their own group? We'll ask Lachlan that one, I think.
Yeah, so that varies by activity. So, for example, the bushwalking team runs an activity called the dinosaur hunt. That works best as patrols. For other, and the rock climbing team, for example, you're probably best off going as a troop. For other activities, you can probably go as individually, so radio, for example, but probably and cycling. Probably most work best as a patrol, but certainly if you, for many of them, if you need to go as an individual, we can work something out. Yep.
Rock climbing. Do you offer this to younger sections, Joey/Cubs, or do you recommend indoor gyms for all these sections?
What I presented today was about outdoor climbing, and at the moment outdoor climbing is restricted to Scouts and up, and this is because we get the Scouts to belay themselves. We do sometimes do artificial activities at larger events, and these Joeys and Cubs can do it, but for the most part I would recommend going indoors.
Linda, how do you join the Jamboree? Jamboree on. I
think that one's for me. So join the Jamboree on pedals. Once we've got everything finalised, it's about patrols and groups signing up for it. Once we've got everything finalised, we'll be probably putting it out on the cycling team website, and which is part of the Scouts Victoria website under the activities tab. And also it'll probably be going out on, or will be going out on the Be Informed emails as well.
How can I join the Adventurous Activities teams? We'll ask Lachlan that one again.
Sure. So all of the teams are on the Scouts Victoria website. Most of the teams also have a Facebook page if you're on Facebook. or our contact details are all in the info book. And if you don't have access to any of those, certainly ask your leader and they'll be able to help you. Yep, thanks.
Which activities can Cubs and Joeys participate in? We'll get each team to answer that one. We'll start with cycling.
Okay. If they've got their own bikes, anyone can participate in activities. If we're doing a little bit more advanced mountain bikings, we're probably saying some of the older Cubs and up are a little bit more better suited. And at the moment, we've only got sort of higher bikes available from Scouts and the bigger kids up to bigger leaders, or just leaders. I won't say bigger leaders. So there are opportunities for Joeys and Cubs to participate, but it's just about having bikes.
Radio team.
The mic muted. That'll be better. We've certainly got a number of activities we can do for our Joeys and our Cubs. And we can also train their leaders in activities, because a lot of the activities for Joeys and Cubs can be done without trained or experienced radio or electronics enthusiasts there present.
Full driving team.
Yeah, thanks, Mitch. For driving, certainly Cubs and Joeys can participate in our experience runs that we do. So when we go out for an afternoon or a day and take groups of youth members, that's available to any level of scouting. Obviously, when you're actually sitting in the driver's seat, I think the minimum would probably be Ventura with an L plate.
Abseiling team.
We've got that listed on our calendar events, which activities are suited for each activity, each section. So if you look at the calendar events, it'll say which section is suitable for that activity.
Rock climbing.
So I answered this before. Again, outdoors, we take Scouts and up. We do some activities at larger camp events, which can be for Cubs and Joeys, but for the most part, we would recommend going indoors at a gym.
Caving.
Yeah, thanks, Mitch. Currently, our program goes from Scouts upwards, but as we progress into the OAS, and anybody that ends up at a stage that could come away, then they can form a patrol and come away caving. At the moment, Cubs and Joeys could have a look around. There's some gyms have got indoor caves that are around. There's not that many, but there are a few around where they can go and have an activity there, or they could set something up in their hall with lots of tarps and tables and torches.
Thank you. Next. Do we have Mitch? Sounds like you're involved in lots of adventurous activities. What's one of your most memorable trips you have gone on so far? One of the most memorable trips I've probably done was last Easter. I did the vertical school, which was with the caving, the rock climbing, and the abseiler team all had a huge camp where we went and practiced and got lots of stuff signed off. So I participated in that with the climbing team and spent 3 or 4 days climbing. Okay. Sometimes it is hard to get to places on some of these activities. Will there be more now that youth are willing to participate? Ask Lachlan that again.
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, we are absolutely. There's a few ways to make that easier. Obviously, there's the easy stuff like booking well in advance. But you can also join the activity teams. So if you really like an activity and it's difficult to get a place on that activity, sometimes, not all of them, but some of the teams, you can just join the team if you're particularly if you're a venturer or rover. So that's one way to make it a bit easier. But yeah, absolutely, we will be running more stuff to help with OAS in the future. Yeah.
Okay. Time for the last question. How can we join an adventurous activities team? Okay, so the adventurous activities teams often, I believe there's links on the website to their emails, and a lot of them have Facebook pages as well, which will also have contact details on it. I believe that's it. Okay. Thanks to all the teams who gave us an insight on what Scouts can do once we are out and about. Please join us on Wednesday for a discussion on mental health and wellbeing.